road.
I love the
Over under 10.5, bro.
Look, I'll be surprised if any of us say under. All right, so I'm going over. I think the Ravens are coming back with a vengeance this year. Jesse Minter, I think, is going to bolster that defense, revitalize that defense. I think they're going to play with an energy that they've lacked the last few years, even as they've been, pretty good defensively. We'll see. This might be Derrick Henry's last hurrah. You never know when a running back's going to fall off. He didn't look like it at all last year, but it's coming at some point. But I'm going to assume he's going to be good this year. I think Lamar, Nick, is going to be excellent. Declan Doyle, look, we assume he learned a lot of stuff under Ben Johnson, right? And so I'm sure he's looking at Lamar like, man, this guy can do all sorts of things. So I bet they come up with some creative stuff. I just think after last season, one of the benefits of that bad season last year is you come into the next year, I would think, with incredible motivation. So I without question, am taking the over on this.
I reserve the right, as we all do, to change this, but I particularly reserve the right to change it if Lamar, the contract situation drags on at all. But assuming Lamar gets the new deal that he wants, I am slamming the over on the Ravens. Paid Lamar is available Lamar. That is what we have seen throughout his history. And I think the new coach is a net positive, even though I also think John Harbaugh going to the Giants is a net positive for them. And I have an announcement, KW. Ooh. And I hate to do this, because usually if you doubt someone and you're wrong, the answer is just keep doubting them, because eventually you'll be right.
Yes.
Eventually it's coming.
Nick does that all the time.
I'm laying down my metaphorical sword on doubting Derrick Henry.
Smart.
He'll just probably be awesome forever.
Yes.
Savvy Bruce at the end could be nigh. I might be the Derrick Henry guy now. I mean, it sounds like the real estate's available. So I will take the over for the Baltimore Ravens.
Wow, that surprised me. I thought he was going to give the under. To me, as long as Lamar is healthy and Jesse Minter proves that he can improve this defense, it's a no-brainer. I mean, when you're as great as Lamar Jackson, you don't need everything else to be perfect. And as long as your defense isn't a liability, I think that's kind of like largely the reality with these truly great quarterbacks. I don't think it's so much that I think I kind of just realized this, not that I realized this, but just can convey this, I think, in a most accurate way. Or clarified it for myself. We so often talk about can this quarterback carry this team, how great do they need, or how many pro bowlers do you need around you, or this or that, can this quarterback lead them to a role? Like we always get those conversations about apparently Mahomes is just carrying teams to Super Bowl wins and all that, which is obviously not true. But I think what the reality is when you're truly a great quarterback, when you're truly a top-tier, top-level quarterback, it's not so much that you have the ability to carry a team to win a Super Bowl and all of that. It's just that if your team is just simply good enough, if you don't have any true liabilities, right, like your O-line is just awful or your defense is just awful, right? Like you just don't have this true oh my gosh, what are you supposed to do about that? If your team is just simply good enough, you're going to be a top team in the NFL. You're going to win games. You're going to be competitive. You're going to have to at least win 10 games. I don't see how it's possible. Well, again, unless you have just an absolute horrendous defense or your O-line, there's nothing for your quarterback to ever breathe. If you're just good enough, the chances of you not winning at least 10 games, and that's why, you sit at the whole 10.5 thing, right? You're just is it going to be 11 or is it going to be 10? Obviously, it could be more or less, but that's obviously why it's 10.5. But it's just to me of course you're going to win at least 10 games. Now here's where it gets interesting, because if you don't take a step forward in defense, O-line, etc. Because that's to me the real big thing. It's not even receivers or run game when you're truly great quarterback, especially, if you can also run, like obviously Lamar. I don't know if you guys know this, but Lamar also uses his legs from time to time. More sarcasm. It's one of those things where I believe you can get to 10 or so. Of course, to me, that's your floor. But whether you get more or even slightly less, right now you're like in a weird situation where it's like 8 wins or no wins. If you then also now combine some devastating fumbles or devastating, like you're your kicker, right? You have this all together where like, well, they would have won this one game. They would have won last week if it wasn't for that fumble. Well, they would have won 3 weeks ago if your kicker didn't miss 3 field goals, right? Like those types of situations. And sometimes those all get compressed. You usually get at least one of them or maybe even 2 of them a season. But like sometimes a season it just all gets compressed together, right? It's just like, oh my gosh, you had the fumble the one game. You had the missed extra point and the missed field goal the other game. The following week, you had so-and-so drop 4 passes. He had 4 touchdowns. He could have caught 4 touchdowns, but he dropped all 4, right? You were just like, what the heck is possibly going on? You're like, what? You could even make the argument that a couple of those games were kind of against with the Ravens last season with the Derrick Henry fumble. I think probably, but a couple of them you could just say Derrick Henry fumbles. But regardless, like Wright, like that's kind of always on the table a little bit. That's where you can kind of get skewed and pushed in one direction or the other. When your defense is a major liability and in any given moment they can give up 30 points or, like I said, your O-line is just a mess. I think then it's just like alright, kind of all bets are off. Is your defense going to be a liability in any given moment? And is your line like, yeah, I think a great quarterback can overcome it, but like I don't expect them to overcome it week after week after week after week after week. So, to me, this team is clearly good enough, doesn't have, even if the Ravens fans aren't as happy with the O-line or as happy with, so-and-so, it's like the team is good enough to at least have the floor of being a really competitive top team. Now, can they win the Super Bowl? And you go on to that next level. That's when the discussion completely changes, right? I'm just talking about floor. And that's really ultimately what the over-under is. It's kind of just like where do we think we are right now? Is the floor below 10 or is it above 10? Right? Like that's where we're at. And again, all the top teams are sitting at 10.5 because it's really just the ultimate kind of here you are. You have the quarterback. You're good enough. Don't have these glaring liabilities. Coaching staff should be again good enough and you have Lamar Jackson. Yeah. If other teams with clearly lesser quarterbacks and lesser franchises, they can pull off like 8 wins, 9 wins, well then certainly Lamar Jackson can get 10, 11 or so, right? Like that's it. Just honestly in that regard it just kind of becomes pretty straightforward basic math. So yeah, that's what makes these over-unders actually kind of difficult. Honestly, they're fun. I like them more from like a jumping off point for a discussion. And I do think it's a good barometer of how what the perception is of said team. 'Cause if they were 9.5, it's like, that means they're not really expecting Lamar to be as good as he's been in the past or there are some questions about the coaching high, right? Like then you can kind of have that conversation. But 10.5 is essentially the NFL world saying we think Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens are just as good as all the other top team, right? Like, yep, we think everyone's kind of sitting at this 10.5 range. Everyone's pretty much, it's anyone's game, right? And so then it really does come down to can you truly elevate that defense? Can your O-line hold up? Do you make your field goals when it's time to make your field goals? Right? Like, do you make your field goals when it's time to make your field goals? You tell me. We'll wait and see. But let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. So, whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get some discussions. Let's get some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here. And I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much.